That's usually a way where you have more control and the results are just better. It doesn't sound as compressed, but still compressed, if that makes kind of any sense. Watch me burn, so watch me burn. Hey guys, welcome to the studio. Yesterday I started a new song that is going into like a melodic techno kind of direction. Started with the vocal, added melodies, added the right sounds, arranged it a little, mixed it a little, and I'm extremely happy for just working on it for one day. You just heard it in the intro. Today is part 2, continuing working on that song and focusing mainly on shaping the sounds, the main sounds of the song even more. And there are some tools that you definitely need to use to get your like main synthesizer sounds from sounding boring, cheap, straight out of a synthesizer to something special that sounds modern and just works in club music. The tools that I personally always use are the following, in that order actually. First up is EQing, usually cutting the low end, shaping the sound a little, boosting some frequencies, removing some resonating frequencies. Then compression if needed. Usually it's not needed. If you're making electronic dance music, all of the samples already got compressed. All of the synths sound very consistent, so it's not usually really necessary. Then the more audible effects, delay, reverb, some fancy stuff, chorus, phaser. Usually don't use those that much actually, because they make everything sound very old school. And I think something that is very important and really shapes and defines the modern sound is definitely saturation, distortion, which is very, very similar, and of course compression, but not the one to get the levels right, the compression that colors the sound. So sound coloring, shaping, the last 5%, trying to squeeze it out of the sound. And that's exactly what we will try to achieve today on the drums and the main synthesizer sound of this new song I started working on yesterday. I've actually soloed the main synthesizer as it was when I started making this song. Sounds pretty standard, like a synthesizer sounds like, and something that everyone should be able to just come up with in a synth. I've used Omnisphere, so it's even easier. You just click through the presets. There's not much you can change about those. Very, very boring. I then added some effects within Omnisphere itself to just spice everything up a little. Again, A and B. A little bit of reverb, compression, the stuff I've already talked about. Then I added something new actually that I just very, very recently got. The name is so amazing, I just had to get it, and it's on sale, by the way. If you're interested, I'll link it down below. It's called Parallel Aggressor, and it's doing something I've already done a lot in the past, and that is like copying down a track or parallel processing by mixing in a little bit of heavily compressed sound and also mixing in heavily saturated sound to the original signal. That's usually a way where you have more control and the results are just better. It doesn't sound as compressed, but still compressed, if that makes kind of any sense. It's nice to be able to do this in like just one simple plugin. And yeah, let me maybe show it to you really quick so you know what this is capable of. We got basically two main dials, spank and heat. Spank is the heavy compression that you can like turn up the intensity. Same for the heat, which is like heavy saturation. And in the middle you can like mix between the dry signal, the heat level, the spank level, solo each one of them, and then at the bottom you can like increase the spank intensity with like, they call it extra punch. It's nice. I love the icon. And we got like extra what is it, extra smack? Yeah, extra smack. And low preserving the low end, not applying it to the low end. And then a mono switch. On the other side, for the heat, we got extra hot, turning up the heat, the saturation even more than the tone. Not 100% sure what it does, but I'll demo all of them in a bit. And then we got the low preserve again and also high cut. So let's just play around a little, trying to improve or like give it like that character and like analog, warm, saturated kind of sound. You have to be subtle with these kind of effects. If you overly compress or saturate, it gets closer and closer to distorting the sound. That might be something you want to go for, but here on this plugin sound for this song, just like a hint, it's like taking a piece of wood and using like rough sanding and roughening it up, and this way give it more character and feel, instead of having it like really clean and smooth. And what I just like found out a second ago, there's like a change color mode, which makes it bright, like in the middle, and dark again. I like that. I think like more plugins should have something like that. Depending on your mood, you can just change it. What I also absolutely love, and it actually really works, is the auto gain. It makes sure that the levels stay consistent, which is so crucial when it comes to listening for compression and saturation, because usually like just having it like 0.2 dB louder makes you perceive it as sounding better. Usually it doesn't, so the auto gain makes sure the levels are the same, so you can actually compare what you're doing. Now let's actually continue. The next step is then adding reverb. And this sound actually has like two reverbs. One is like out of Omnisphere, like a shorter one, and then a longer one that actually just creates the atmosphere, and then the parallel aggressor on top. Well, let's actually use it on maybe something else. I don't know, I love new plugins, really obsessed with them. It's always very inspiring. Whenever I'm stuck like working on songs, I just get one of those small plugins and try to implement it, and usually come up with something I would have never ever come up otherwise. Selecting all of the drums. Let's pick another part of the song. Again, it's a fine, detailed change, but if you think about trying to implement this on all of your tracks, I mean, this song is like second day, 25 tracks, but if you have like 50, 60 tracks and you consider adding here and there a little, it just makes everything pop a little more. It makes it sound like just a little bit nicer. It's hard to describe. I would just like suggest you try it out. Saturation, distortion, parallel compression on your elements, just a tiny bit, a hint, so that you barely hear it on the individual track, but in total, in the sum, it will definitely improve your song. All finished, all done. I actually didn't really advance on this new song because I then went back to other songs that I'm working on at the same time right now, and also implemented this new plugin to like just squeeze out a little more, give them that like parallel compression, saturation, and trying to emphasize certain parts in the mix. So if you're interested to try it out yourself, I'll link it down below. Again, there's a demo available and it's right now on sale. And tomorrow, I promise I'll continue working on that song, show you the progress. Next up is definitely effects, coming up with like special things to transition from one part to another. So definitely tune in. Thanks a lot for watching. See you tomorrow again, back here in the studio.